Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic's Bad Guys Issue 4, the final part of this miniseries. Let's not waste any time and get straight to the recap. Spoilers will be at Omega levels, and for most of this review, pretend issues 33 through 36 of the main book don't exist. Though when you think about it, those events haven't happened yet at this point in the timeline. Okay, I have said too much. The attack on the Egg Hub went smoothly thanks to the single-core gear Starline provided the group. He kept the existence of his Tricore a secret. This assault has caught Eggman's attention, but Starline managed to redirect false readings to another location, so he's safe for the moment. However, Starline should have treated his allies with more respect, or at the very least, hide his plans better. Earlier, Mimic and Zavik discover Starline's plan to backstab the others after taking over the Egg Hub and gain control of Egg-based Sigma. The two instead turn the tables on Starline after forcing him to get what they want, namely getting erased from the database and control of all badniks in the region. And thanks to the cores, Rough and Tumble gained the weapons they needed. So it seems Starline's up the creek without a paddle, right? Before his former allies make mincemeat out of him, Starline grabs his Tricore from his pocket and installs it. Like the first issue of this arc, he's field testing a new weapon to save his life. Kind of bookends things, don't you think? He blocks one of Tumble's punches and speeds off before Zavik nabs him. Zavik, Rough, and Tumble go on the hunt, while Mimic stays behind in case Starline returns. Scratch that. Mimic, realizing Starline has a point about how dangerous those guys are, decides to hightail it out of there. He got what he wanted anyway. Before leaving though, he decides to give him a little going away present, namely, signal Eggman to come straight to the hub. And when the doctor spots Zavik on the hub's security feed, he and his badnik forces double time it. Meanwhile, a game of cat and mouse takes place between Starline and the other three. He surprises Rough and incapacitates him with the heel spur toxin. He then hides when Zavik approaches with some egg pawns under his control. Yeah, smart move. I wouldn't chance it against the big red guy. He calls Starline's plan sloppy and disregard of others cruel, all to satisfy his, that is Starline's, pride, which makes Starline no different from Eggman. Seeing an opening, Starline speeds off, all while thinking, Zavik once again has a point. Actually, it's more than that. This is the moment Starline realizes he is no different than Eggman. Having admired the man all of his life, his actions, while claiming to be better, are reminiscent of the guy, even down to discarding individuals once they serve their purpose, reminding him of how he was tossed away in issue 25. That and Starline is obsessed over a single person, in this case, Zavik. Since he burned some bridges, he'll have to salvage what he can before leaving. On the way, he runs into Tumble tending to his brother, and Starline quickly delivers toxin to his system as well. He returns to the computer room to find Mimic's parting gift. Not wasting any time, he removes Egg-based Sigma from the registry and places it under his command before zooming out of there. Zavik finds the paralyzed Rough and Tumble and calls them pathetic before leaving them behind. In Rough and Tumble's defense, they tried really hard to get to Starline, but the doctor was more equipped to handle this situation. That and their power cores are now out of juice. Rough and Tumble realize they don't need anyone else but each other. Zavik arrives in the computer room just in time for Eggman to appear on the monitor. And Eggman, if you're going to use that taunt, you need to stick two fingers and a thumb in bottles and clank them together, like this guy here. He tells Zavik point blank he's going to vaporize the hub along with any intruders. He can rebuild later. A fight breaks out when Zavik uses the hub's defenses against Eggman. As we see, Rough, Tumble, Mimic, and Starline got out of there before the fireworks began. Good thing because Eggman and his fleet of Valkyrie badniks carpet bomb the place to oblivion. After they leave, Zavik emerges from the ruins. Yeah, whether you like it or not, he has Sega plot armor. That and his power core helped him withstand the blast. Though it was too much, and the gear breaks off. Wounded, he takes control of a surviving egg pawn, so he can get out, heal, and eventually track down the other Zeddy. Later, Eggman learns of Zavik's survival. While he believes he's involved with the Power Core raid and the hub, someone else was behind all of this. Elsewhere, we see that someone, Starline, settling in at his new location, Egg Base Sigma, remodeling here and there, moving things in like those green tubes, and having all the badniks in the area under his control. Now his plans can go forward with new clarity. He will not limit himself to conquering the world in the name of someone obsessed with a blue rodent. He will conquer the world for himself and prove that he is superior to Dr. Eggman. The story and miniseries ends with him sitting on a throne, his symbol painted over Eggman's. The solicitation for this issue was a bit off. Well, this part at least. The bad guy group started falling apart at the end of last issue, when Starline's betrayal came to light. Though I suppose all of them being ready to murder the guy was one way of keeping them together. Then they fractured further when Mimic bails while alerting Eggman, and Zavik abandoning Rough and Tumble after they were incapacitated by Starline's toxin. In the aftermath of all that, if you include the attack from Eggman, bridges were burned between the group, as I've stated earlier, and only 2 of them got what they wanted. Mimic had his files erased from Eggman's computers, so now he's free to cause havoc. Like, say, pay Whisper a visit? Oh, I just realized, this miniseries invalidates Hers and Tangle's victory from their miniseries. And Starline, well, we'll get to him in a moment. Rough and Tumble may not have the weapons to terrorize the populace, but at least they have each other. You could argue that Zavik was the biggest loser in all this, as he did not get what he wanted, control of all the badniks in the region, assuming the hub is key to this. In that case, he loses that, his power core, and is weakened. But at least he's free to track down his brethren. Now let's talk about Starline, the true winner in all of this. While things did not go smoothly, a lot of it he admitted was his fault, he got Egg Base Sigma. And the thing is, he did it all while under Eggman's nose. Also, he finally realizes that it's not worth it to conquer the world in Eggman's name if he and Sonic are going to do the same old song and dance. All it took was Zavik calling Starline out on using Eggman-like methods that made the latter realize Zavik's right. I cannot emphasize this enough. He wants to improve, but because he's been an Eggman fanboy all of his life, his improvements so far are just mere imitations of the main villain. The experience has made him open his eyes, and he vows from this day forward to be better than his former hero. You can see it with Egg Base Sigma. Once he took it over, he begins remodeling it. I wouldn't be surprised if he removed those Eggman heads on the buildings, or at the very least, change it into something more of his taste. The badnik colorization is more purple, meaning that Starline controls them. We have seen purple badniks in his base in the earlier issues, but now he has a larger quantity of them. It's a statement that he will use Eggman technology better than the Doctor himself, along with original items like whatever's in those green tubes. There better be a payoff for those later. Also, Starlight's not afraid to get in the thick of it thanks to the heel spurs and the Tricore glove. Here's a fun fact that I've recently learned, and I'll talk about it more in my issue 36 review. The hypnotizing feature of the glove was invented by Evan Stanley. Ian Flynn merely used it in this arc as a preview to, spoilers, what Starline would utilize in Evan's first story arc in the main book. Overall, Bad Guys is an enjoyable miniseries, though personally I like the Tangle and Whisper miniseries a bit more. But there is a thrill when you see villains fighting other villains. If you can look past the old villain team-up backstabbing cliche, this miniseries can be a fun ride. Plus, it does something I've said repeatedly throughout my reviews, establishing independent villains in this continuity. Whether they are small time or personal, like the Skunk Brothers and Mimic, or a real threat to the heroes in Eggman, like Zavik and now Starline. Time will tell how they will be utilized by the writers. Wait, strike that. Issues 33 through 36 are already utilizing Starline, which takes place after this miniseries. Hopefully down the line, maybe we can see more independent antagonists. Oh, issues 33 through 36 already does. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is, an ongoing Sonic comic series needs a break from Eggman every now and then. Every time I look at Starline's logo, I have this sudden urge to go brush my teeth.